And then they end with their typical
Troy and Abed in stop motion.
Yeah.
Welcome back, listeners, to another episode of the LAZOR podcast. The podcast where we comb through random episodes of classic TV shows with a fine-tooth laser. I am one of your hosts, NeoCal.
I'm LadyGlitch.
And I am the other one, Christopher Sage.
The other one. Anyone watching this on video may notice something.
Yes.
We have a festive kind of theme going. We're
Yes.
also here in person.
We are. I flew out 2,500 miles from Savannah, Georgia to be with these guys today. So,
How about that?
yeah.
In sunny, beautiful British Columbia.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So much sun.
So much sun.
Much
Where
sun.
the skies
Too much
are
sun.
gray. Where the skies are gray.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
What?
Yes, we're actually not doing this over Zoom
Mhm.
for the first time ever on this podcast, anyway. And we've got LadyGlitch here joining us from one of our other podcasts, Alphanumeric,
Mhm.
the Reboot Podcast,
Yes.
the world's foremost reboot podcast, as a matter of fact. Which we're actually gonna have new episodes of soon, so keep an eye out for that.
Woo!
Yay.
This is episode 14 of the LaserComb podcast.
15.
15. Fuck. I screwed it up. And see, I was everyone asked me
It's-
before we
Yeah.
got to
No,
recording.
he's wrong. He's the one who gets it wrong all the time. Never me.
Everyone asked me, oh, what episode is this?
And
I'm
we even
like,
clarified it was going to be number 15 before we started recording.
Yeah, I brought up Apple Podcasts. I'm like, okay, episode 14 was the last one. So, yes, episode 15 of the LaserComb podcast. And we are continuing on, as it is the month of December, through our Christmas-themed month. And this week, we are talking about the 11th episode of Season 2 of Community, as chosen by Twitter poll, which if you want to vote on that, check me out on Twitter. I'm at LaserComb, LAZORCOMB. We're not necessarily doing random episodes per se. We're not doing the random number generator this month. This month, we're just strictly doing Christmas episodes, but all the shows are still being chosen at random by Twitter poll. So, the Community, Season 2 Community episode, Abed's Uncontrollable Christmas.
Mhm.
Cal, why don't you tell us a little bit about Community? What is Community?
What is community? I think community means something different to everybody. It's not just your friends and family, but it's your neighbors, like it or not. It's your fellow students. Perhaps it's your Spanish study class.
Taught by Chang.
That's right. I actually forgot that the entire show, the first few seasons, he's actually a teacher there.
Yeah, yeah. He teaches the Spanish class, and by his own admission, can't speak Spanish. Yeah.
The problems that we face in public schools nowadays.
Yeah. You take what you can get.
Pretty much.
A running joke in this show actually is the fact that it being a community college, they have no money, and so their facilities are shit, and none of their teachers know what they're doing.
And they're trying their
great.
damnedest to pull off heists to get more funding.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so what do we got here? We got a cast of, we won't go into all the details of the characters, but
Just broadly. So what the show is about is
go ahead.
It's about a lawyer named Jeff Winger who was, I can't remember why exactly off the top of my head, but he lost his law. He lost his.
He never had his degree.
Oh, right,
for law.
He never had his degree, but he had been practicing law.
Oh, okay.
So
Busted.
and he got busted. So he has to go to community college to get his law degree.
Begrudgingly.
Very begrudgingly. So he does that, and he ends up in a study group where he meets a eclectic group of individuals. One being Britta, who is kind of she's like the environmentalist, like the
Activist.
political activist. kind of neurotic one. We've got Abed, who is portrayed as kind of being on the spectrum.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. But who deep down has a heart of gold, and he's kind of the heart and soul of the show, in my opinion.
It's interesting. It turned into him being like the heart and the glue of the group, which kind of gets feelsy and sad, like in the end seasons.
Yeah,
when he sees everyone like leaving and splitting up, and it's you feel for him. But yeah, go ahead. There's Annie.
Yeah, so we have Troy, who ends up becoming Abed's best friend in the series. Troy, I believe, was I think he was a football star.
Oh, and he hurt himself?
He hurt himself, so he ended up having to
couldn't get a scholarship.
Because he was running on a football scholarship. He got hurt, couldn't play football anymore, so he has to go to community college to
whatever
to further his education.
Yeah. We have no free rides for him.
Nope.
Troy being played by Donald Glover, who is far transcended this show in terms of star power. Yeah. Oh yeah. Like he's got his.
It's weird to talk about it now.
Yeah.
Going back, right?
Well, I actually, before I even saw this show, I remember seeing him as part of the Derek comedy troupe in the early days of YouTube back in the mid 2000s.
Wow, time.
Yeah, there's one video in particular that I always found really funny. It involves a spelling bee. I'm not going to say what the name of it is because, well, it's a couple of very offensive words smashed together into one super offensive word.
Gotcha.
But it's a very funny video. So just look up Derek comedy if you want to see some like even earlier than this Donald Glover stuff. We have Pierce, who is I can't even remember why. I think he's there because he's bored. But he's this middle-aged rich man. He's played by
middle-aged, like he's past middle age, right? Like he's like 60, 70. We find out later that he's very wealthy, and he's essentially there because he's bored.
Yeah. We have Annie, who has great boobs. Annie's boobs is a recurring joke in the show. No, Annie is the really smart, like, bookworm.
Young depicted. Troy and Abed and Annie are young, but she's depicted as
being very innocent and naive.
Yeah, naive. There we go.
I can't remember the circumstances of why she's there, but she's there for reasons, and I think they go into it, and I think it's actually something kind of sad. Like I think she. I could be completely wrong, but I think she ended up going to the community college because she was dealing with like an eating disorder or something.
There was something that happened, and she was like a pure A student, and then
I think she had an eating disorder or like a suicide attempt or something like that.
There's something.
There was something. It's been a long time since I've watched.
It's like 6 seasons.
Yeah, not a movie though. Unfortunately, not yet.
Not 6 seasons in a movie.
Not 6 seasons in a movie. Not yet. 6 seasons in a movie is a recurring joke that Abed makes in the show, because Abed breaks the fourth wall in the series a lot. He's aware he's in a TV show.
Yeah.
And we have what's her name?
Shirley.
Shirley.
There we go.
We have Shirley, who is the
bless her heart.
Bless her heart, very sweet woman.
Christian mom.
Christian mom. Who she, if I recall correctly, she is there because her husband had an affair on her, and she threw him out and decided to go back to school to get an education, to do something with her life, because she, at this point, I think she's probably like in her late 30s, early 40s.
Yeah, and it explores her character really well later. All of them. I think. Yeah. And Shirley's like the mom of the group too, because sometimes she's there and she's like, "This is really dumb," and an ongoing joke, because like, if you're not so sensitive as to like be offended by everything, the early joke is just like, oh, like surely blah blah blah, you just don't want us doing this because like you're a Christian or whatever. And she'll like repeatedly is like, well, no, I'm trying to stop you guys because you're dumb. Right? So it plays a lot with identity and religion because like Annie is Jewish.
Yeah.
Troy is Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah. Abed is Muslim.
Abed is Muslim, but his mom's Polish, and he's always been fascinated with Christmas,
which this episode goes into.
Yeah, and the show has a lot of shockingly like intimate moments throughout the comedy, and I think that's what makes the show special, is that it is a comedy with heart. So it's like always a comedy first, right? But the stories or the messages need to be meaningful. Otherwise, you just end up with, geez, I don't know, like another like Bad Friends sitcom, which there are like hundreds of.
Anything on CBS.
Big Bang Theory.
Those Chuck Lorre CBS.
But how am I supposed to know the laugh track?
You never know.
Oh, there was no laugh track. So anybody listening doesn't know that I was funny. Like really bad canned laughter.
Yeah, very like MASH level of bad laugh track. Which mercifully, when you're watching that show on DVD, which I own the whole series of.
Yeah, it's right over there.
There it is.
You have the option of actually turning the laugh track off, and the show is infinitely better to watch that way.
Huh.
Yeah, for realsies. Ladies and gentlemen, if any of you listening to this is under the age of 55 and likes MASH, the way to watch it is on DVD without the laugh track.
So nobody listening to this.
So nobody listening to this.
Big Bang Theory. Here's the thing. I've watched a lot of it.
Same.
So have I. One of my exes was nuts about the show.
And you know what? It has the opposite effect. When you take away the laugh track, it's less fun. It's less funny and just like awkward. But I got tiresome of Big Bang Theory because the joke was always on them being nerdy. Liking comics. What are you, a loser? And I get the overtones are that geeks and nerds can be cool too, but it's just like you're 10 years late on that.
And like it feels like it came from a place of people who aren't into nerdy shit trying to write nerdy characters.
Kind of, it's just like, oh, the boys and their Halo night.
And girls going out drinking.
That's the video game, right? Is that the video game on the Xbox that people play, the Halos? And it's like, I guess. Sure.
And me reading a lot of comic books growing up, sometimes, actually almost all of the time, when they would start going into, because setting in that show is the comic book store, when they would go into like details talking about like specific comics, like it was all like in specific issues, like, oh, this character first appeared in this issue, or in this issue, blah 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 blah. I'm enough of a comics nerd where I'm like, everything you're saying is wrong. No, there was no Thor #1 in the 60s, because it originally started as Journey into Mystery and then changed into Thor after like a couple hundred issues.
Right, as they introduced new characters and other things, like Detective Comics with Batman, right? Yeah.
And I think the Incredible Hulk was originally an anthology book called Tales to Astonish that became the Incredible Hulk after like issue 150 or something like that.
Huh, interesting.
So that was kind of common back then. But anyway, so like little like details like that, like comic book details like that, like they would always be fucking wrong in the Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
It's weird. Yeah, I guess the reason I had brought that up in general is because these two shows are almost adjacent.
Well, they aired
same
pretty
age
much
audience.
concurrently.
They aired around like the same time, and like I said, I didn't mind like Big Bang Theory. I'm not just relentlessly going to shit on it, but I feel like there's a lot more here in Community.
Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like there's a much more diverse group of the main characters. Unlike Big Bang Theory, you just have your nerds and your pretty girls.
Well, I don't.
And later on, nerdy girls, but it's...
Well, I don't believe the idea that these are like pioneers in their industries, and they're looking for like awards, and they're looking to pave the way in like string theory and all of this stuff. And I'm like, when do these like kids and their university and like professors? I'm like, no, they're not.
You never see them like grading papers or anything like
No,
that.
they're
I'm
just
like, when do they
research
have
assistants.
time?
Yeah.
How much time do they? Barely. Yeah, and sometimes it shows them in a lab when they real side before we jump back to it. The girl that ends up being Sheldon's like love interest.
Oh yeah.
Amy Farrah Fowler.
The
Awesome.
actress that plays her is actually like
Ian Bialik.
is actually is a neurosurgeon.
She is.
Yeah, she has some shitty opinions about things though. That have come up in recent years. So
what are you gonna do?
Let's
Anyways,
not talk about her too much.
Let's move on. What's special about Abed's Uncontrollable Christmas?
Let us dive into it.
Yeah.
Well, for right out of the gate, the episode is not live action. It is stop motion animation, which Abed is quick to point out in the episode.
Yeah. And he's like, wait a second, none of you see this too? And they're like, what do you see? And I remember Jeff being all like, let's just let this go. Like, let's ignore it. But Britta can't. And she's like, wait, what do you see, Abed? Like, try.
Yeah, and Abed, so the group is like sitting around in the cafeteria, and Abed's like talking about like the magic of Christmas, and they're like, "Wait, you're Muslim?" And he's like, "True, but I've always been fascinated by Christmas."
And this is the most important Christmas in history.
Yeah,
and that's the reason why we're stop motion animated. Probably to attribute to cartoons of the past that were stop motion animated, like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Oh, totally. It's a direct homage to those.
Well, he even Abed talks about, nope, every single December 9th, my mom comes and visits, and we watch Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. So it's...
Yeah.
So interesting.
This is replacing his... He's viewing the world in stop motion because he's not watching Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer with his mom.
Yeah. A fun, interesting, like, little coincidence. Me and Christina watched this last night, which at the time of recording was December 9th.
Yeah.
So we watched this episode, which is set on December 9th. On December 9th. Purely by coincidence. Like, we didn't plan it that way. We're just like, oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
And apart from being stop motion, the intro is different and Christmassy and sung by Abed.
Yes, and then he gets tased.
Yeah, he gets
Falls off of his
tased.
goal.
I forgot the whole. So the premise of the show is everyone thinks he's nuts because he's trying to make the episode into a musical.
Yeah.
And I never remember the professor, the psych professor, who's desperately trying to make a name for himself. Who gets Winger?
I can't remember.
But he's played by he's got his own show. Jamie Oliver.
Oh, John Oliver.
John Oliver, thank you. I'm like, Jamie.
I didn't realize that was John Oliver. And I watched Last Week Tonight quite regularly.
Yeah. John Oliver's on the show, everyone.
So yeah, John Oliver, I guess, plays the psychiatrist at the school. So Abed, Jeff, and Britta are sitting in his office with him, and he's like really like he's talking to Abed about like the delusion that he's having about the stop motion and everything, and he keeps like slipping up and like kind of referring to him as like a potential like book deal.
Yeah, to
everything's
make
very
his
publishable.
paper, right?
Yeah.
And basically, Britta and Jeff tag along, and because they don't want him expelled, and it's in everyone's best interest to keep him around, but the psychologist is just there to try to solve a very odd case. How many fingers am I holding up? And more importantly, are they still made of clay?
Yeah.
3 and yes.
Yeah, and yeah, he's a psychiatrist. Probably got his degree at a community college,
If he even has a degree.
if he even has a degree.
Because very early on, it's established that the psych professor and Jeff are like in cahoots through here or there. I can't quite remember how. There are times that come up where, right, they're doing something for each other, and he's going to fake Jeff getting all A's in like the first season, and Jeff ends up going like, no, fuck it, I'm actually going to earn it myself. I can't remember what he offers him. Date with Britta or something dumb like that. Yeah. He's got a super huge crush on Britta.
In the early seasons, there was a thing, but kind of a thing like will they or won't they thing that you see in a lot of sitcoms, but the show gave up on it.
I meant the psychologist just has this huge crush on Britta.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant Jeff.
Oh, there's a would they or won't they. I kind of don't like that, but I think they handle it okay.
Well, yeah, and I think the show kind of drops it after the first season.
It drops it, and it's in the background because they had hooked up, and it comes up later, but it's not as cringe as it could have been.
Mm-hmm.
So what's happening here? There is a thought experiment, an intervention.
Yes, because he receives a text message while he's outside making a snowman, which
is
happens to be Chang.
Which is actually Chang.
But not like Chang like pretending to be a snowman. I guess in this claymation world, Chang is just a snowman.
Yeah.
It's
just a snowman chilling out.
So Britta texts him, and he's like, the meaning of Christmas can be found in the study hall or the study room. So he dashes off, and he gets there and hears everybody. Not cool.
He's like, intervention. Not cool. He like goes to walk away.
And John Oliver is like comes up to him, and he's like, I'm not just a psychiatrist, okay? I'm also a Christmas wizard.
Shut up, Winger.
And that's right, yeah. I'm a Christmas wizard.
And he transforms into a Christmas wizard.
Yeah, which Abed kind of half-heartedly buys it.
All your friends are here, and they want to help. But Pierce is like, huh? I'm here for the cookies.
And Jeff is trying to...
He's that curmudgeon character who actually fucking cares, but you need to watch like 10 episodes to realize that like through the bullshit of him pretending he's not caring, he's like the Hard Knocks like dad of
and like a recurring thing through the show is that Pierce is regularly a dick to Troy. And as the show goes on, you actually start to find out that he actually really likes and respects Troy, and like I think he ends up like because Chevy Chase leaves the show, and I believe he dies, and he leaves like a bunch of money, like he leaves a lot of his fortune to Troy.
Yeah, because he didn't want like any kids or whatever, and he respected Troy, but like he also leaves them like cryogenically frozen bottles of his own semen. That's a whole other thing. That's a whole other thing to get into. But it's, if you ignore like the real life drama that was around Chevy Chase leaving the show and blah blah blah.
Yeah, by all accounts, Chevy Chase like is kind of an asshole. Like that's what I've heard from like basically everyone.
Particularly with who made the show. There were creative disputes between damn it, how do I not know? His name is like, wow, journalism, folks.
Legitimate journalism. All right, I'm gonna bring out my phone.
Okay,
here
while he's like,
I know it's like on the tip of my brain.
He's famous, believe it or not.
Yeah,
he's a good writer.
He also co-created Rick and Morty, I believe.
That's what I mean. Yeah.
Dan Harmon.
There we go. I was piecing it.
There you go.
I'm like, ham.
Well, and there were creative disputes between Dan Harmon and NBC as well. He actually,
which is why
he was fired from the show for, I believe it was season 4, and
the bad season.
The bad season 4 is rough.
Yeah.
And so they actually hired him back for season 5, and then they canceled the show.
Yeah.
And then the show got picked up when Yahoo decided to try their hand at a streaming service.
That's right.
In like 2004 or 2014 called Yahoo Screen. That was only lasted like 1 year. And then they ended up but they produced the 6th and final season of Community, which I still to this day have not watched. And then they ended up like, I think, after they folded Yahoo Screen, I think they sold the rights to the show to Netflix.
That's why all of them are on.
That's
Netflix,
why all of them are
so
on
good
there,
for
yeah.
them. At least they didn't hold on to it and never relinquish its grip.
Well, I'm sure they lost like millions upon millions of dollars on Yahoo Screen.
They were ahead of it
because it never took off.
Yeah.
So they're like, well, we gotta try and make some money off of this somehow because no one subscribes. So Netflix, give us money.
Please.
Please.
All the money.
We'll give you Community.
Yeah. You can have this and whatever other nonsense we try to produce.
So what happened? What's happening here? They're doing
the visual
make-believe.
Yeah, the visual winter wonderland.
Yeah.
They're doing like the make-believe where they're going into like a mind palace, and he's John Oliver's kind of doing a like a relax, close your eyes and imagine blah blah blah. But then imagine that we're in a safe space and it's Christmassy or something. But then Abed takes control of it. He's like, and we're in Christmas space now. And there's the planet Holly, and there's the planet Jolly.
And we're going to planet Abed now.
It's the most Christmassy planet in all the universe.
And the atmosphere is 7% cinnamon.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah. Ooh, nice.
Yeah. And it's all sparkly and it speaks to my heart.
I really like when Shirley's like, ooh, that's nice.
Now, in this episode, Pierce is in a wheelchair. I can't remember why.
Skydiving. There was something that happened previously where he hurt himself, and he's got like 2 casts on his legs.
Right. So he's in a wheelchair, and he has like one of those mouth apparatuses to operate it, like people who are.
But even though his hands are fine,
hands are fine.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. You can. We listeners and video viewers, we have the episode on screen right now in front of us.
Yeah. And so what happens here? Abed transforms all of his friends
into their Christmas selves,
into like Christmassy alt identities. Their personas, if you will.
Yeah, their personas.
And Troy is like little drummer boy.
Troy Soldier.
Troy Soldier. Pierce is. They all have like an interesting name. Oh, Britta is Britta Bot. Jeff is Jeff in a Box.
And Teddy Pierce.
Teddy Pierce. Beep bloop for me too.
And Ballerani.
Oh, Ballerani. Yeah, she's a ballerina.
Baby
like
doll
a wind-up
Shirley.
doll.
And Shirley becomes a
baby.
A baby.
And she's
doll.
like, wait, what? Everyone else seems fine with it. Oh, except Britta.
I like when John Oliver's Christmas wizard, like when he comes in and out of frame, like it looks like he's just walking through a curtain.
It's supposed to be like he's ripping going through like a temporal rift, but like the way they've almost made it seem as if he's just stepping through a green screen or something.
Yeah, stepping through a curtain.
Yeah.
Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain.
Yeah. And I'm like, where is he when he does that? Is he just like 10 feet back? Yeah, so they sing a song. There's a lot of songs in this.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Talking about the Wonderland in my mind. And we've got to go to the North Pole. Because he thinks that the meaning of Christmas is at the North Pole.
Yeah, and John Oliver keeps being like, no, like the Cave of Memories. And Abed's like, maybe we can stop by if it's on the way.
Yeah, Abed is hell-bent on going to the North Pole.
And for the love of God, stay between the gummies.
Yeah. And this is a Wonka-style test to test your commitment to Christmas.
That is kind of like a Wonka-style elimination kind of deal going on here. Look, Abed, I think I see the Cave of Frozen Memories.
It's actually the Cave of Frozen Peas.
It's a common mistake. Don't worry, I got this. So John Oliver just fucks off. So yeah, they go on a quest. And that's most of what this episode is. It's just them like questing toward the North Pole, and John Oliver like keeps trying to like detour them to the cave of frozen memories,
so they can unravel Abed's like hang-ups or the thing that led to his delusional thinking.
And quite ironically, like I'll jump ahead a little bit, but
Yeah.
quite ironically, it's not even John Oliver who figures out what's going on with Abed.
Absolutely not.
No, it's his friends who figure it out.
Well, no, he helps, but we'll get to that, right? Like with the card at the end.
Right.
Because he illegally searched a student's room, but I guess everyone's cool with that. So basically, Shirley is ejected first with a remote control Christmas pterodactyl.
Yep, he comes
It's a pterodactyl with a
in.
wraith around its neck. That's it. Which he calls with a big button on a remote, because she's all like, I know the meaning of Christmas, and it has to do with Jesus. None of whatever all y'all are.
Yeah, she makes
about.
some remark that because of my relationship with Jesus, I know more about Christmas than any of you heathens or something. Like
So
that.
so it's time to go. Christmas pterodactyl tears her away, and because she's not helping Abed. And so Jeff keeps, like his Jeff Winger self, keeps saying like sarcastic shit. And it's just like, what is that? Do you hear that? It's humbugs. Quick, if you're sarcastic, the humbugs will eat you alive. And of course, Jeff's like, oh no, the humbugs are eating me. But on the screen, they're actually like locusts or bugs or whatever.
And they eat his flesh and he falls into
and I like that
skeleton.
the Jeff in the box, all the parts of him were made out of bones, as if he was an organic being. Which is kind of disturbing. And he's just dead.
And as he's dying, he's like, "Oh no, I'm dying. Guess I'll have to go get laid."
and he leaves.
And he falls down. His skeleton falls down.
So presumably those people are leaving the study room when the delusion takes them out of the journey.
Yeah.
And then they go through a very labyrinth part with like talking plants.
It's a Carol Canyon. So instead of producing oxygen, these plants produce Christmas songs. Yeah.
Britta goes all full Britta, and she's like, "Well, actually, Jesus was born in the middle of April. They only made his birthday in December for the
line up his birthday with the pagan winter solstice."
And Troy's just like, "Well, season's greetings from Britta." Which I'm like, I mean, technically she's right. But...
A good way to summarize Britta's character is the actually.
Yeah.
Even if she's not right, she needs to find an actually moment.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of the times, like, actually people are like neckbeard nerds, but like she isn't, but she's still very much an actually.
She's the equivalent. She's a leg beard.
A leg beard.
So they actually do reach the cave of frozen memories, but like you said, as John Oliver is like being all like, "Oh, do you see that? Oh, like do you see the Christmas? What do you see?" And he's like, "There's nothing there. It's just a piece of ice." He's like, "Why? What do you see?" And he's like, "Oh, I see that it's my mom and me waiting." And then Abed does the reverse psychologist, but in this case, literally thing, and he's all like, "Oh, really? Well, what do you see? What color are the walls?" And then he's like, "Where's your dad? Why isn't your dad with you on Christmas?" My mom is always crying. And so John Oliver has this like meltdown because I guess that his dad left him on Christmas. So he has damage about Christmas himself, and he runs off.
Yeah, that's the implication there. The show doesn't go into it too much.
No, it's great. It doesn't need to, right?
Yeah.
And the cave of frozen memories starts breaking down, and they all go out an escape hatch. But Abed stops Britta.
Yeah.
Because her heart's like not into it.
And he figured out that she was like trying to trick him, and doesn't actually believe in like the magic of Christmas and yada yada yada. So he's like, "No, you got to stay here and die in the cave of frozen memories as it collapses onto you."
Yeah, and like she's crying in this scene right now.
Yeah, Britta brought so sad something no belief in yourself or your friends. Yeah, he does a little jingle every time like
Mhm.
somebody leaves.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they just leave her and the cave collapses, presumably with Britta Bot dying inside.
And
Yeah.
now we're on a train.
Yeah, I kind of, I, the way she like kind of like walks away, with her
Mhm.
like head hanging and her like shoulders down. I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
poor Britta.
and they're on the Polar Express now, and Pierce is like, yeah, well, cool, we're on the train. Where's the pisser? I'll be right back. And teddy bear wanders off. And I like how there's the Menorah Mountains, and then
The
he's
Jehovah's
like,
Witness
oh,
Bay.
don't forget about Jehovah's Witness Bay. And Troy's like, thanks for putting that in there, man.
Yeah.
And he's like,
I got you.
yeah.
And now he reveals that his parents are divorced. Mom's
Yeah.
Polish, she loves Christmas, and then every year on December 9th, they sit and watch the Rudolph Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Yeah, I think up to
Together.
this point in
Every
the
year.
show, we hadn't heard much about Abed's mom. We've heard about his dad and about how his
Controlling and
dad was not proud of him.
yeah.
So what Abed reveals is that they watch Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer every year on December 9th. And
But Abed, today's December 9th.
he's like, no, it can't be.
Because my mom and I would be here. So it must be the 8th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now we're starting to, we're starting to piece together like what this is all about.
Starting to piece it together, and then John Oliver comes back after having to cry, and he's all like, okay, it's time to wake up. And Abed's like, no, we're going to the North Pole. And it's just like, no, you're not. It's time to snap back to reality. And the others stop him, Annie and Troy, because they're like, the young people. Abed, Annie, and Troy often stick together, and the old people are Britta, Shirley, and like Jeff is that person in the middle who wants to be the young guy.
And later on in the show too, they end up all actually being roommates.
Those three,
Troy,
that's
Abed,
right.
and Annie,
Yeah.
Well, and Abed also, after John Oliver comes back, he's like, you know what I figured out? You're not a Christmas wizard. You're a Christmas warlock. You're trying to destroy the Christmas spirit.
Yeah, because he's like, I'm not a Christmas wizard. There's no such thing as Christmas magic. It just divides us because of unrealistic expectations. And he's like, I knew you weren't a Christmas wizard. You're a Christmas warlock. And his outfit changes.
I love that that's his takeaway.
Yeah, and the Troy figure, he's like, I can teleport too. Boink.
Yeah, you teleport, because they're on top of the train, and Abed's trying to get to the
meaning of Christmas.
To the locomotive.
Yeah.
And
I like that little thing. That's just
yeah.
the Christmas cheer, and the last level is Bjork.
Yeah.
The little lever.
Yep. So now they're going through hyperspace.
Annie and
right
Troy
now.
stopped to grab John Oliver and keep him from pursuing. So presumably they physically detained him somewhere. And Pierce just comes into the what's the train knowledge? Here we go. What's the frontmost part of the
engine.
train? The engine.
The
cabin.
locomotive.
Yeah, of the locomotive, right?
Yeah.
I think it's a locomotive. It's been established on not this podcast, but another podcast that we do that
with LadyGlitch,
that we our knowledge in trains
woefully
is very lacking. So
woefully ignorant to the ways of trains.
Willfully ignorant, actually.
Unregrettably,
we don't give a fuck about trains here at LaserComb Productions.
No. So what's happening here? Oh, Pierce sticks it out with them, and they find Santa's workshop, and inside is a box and a box and a box, and Pierce is all like, no, I'll stick around even if there aren't no more cookies. And inside is the first season of Lost on DVD,
which turns out to be a metaphor.
Yeah, and Abed recognized this. He's like, oh, it's because of it's the potential. It's what it could have been.
Never got into Lost, you know.
And John Oliver, same. And John Oliver is like, actually, I've gotten to the bottom of this. And I went into your room and I found this card on the ground. So it's revealed that his mom sent him a card instead of coming and visiting him, with a picture of herself and her new child and her new husband. And she says, you're a man now. I hope that you can meet my family one day.
But now you're a man now, and there's nothing left to do but heal.
That's what John Oliver says. And you know what?
And the way he says it, though, he's just like, He's like, Mommy's not coming. Mommy's moved on. New life, new family. There's nothing left to do.
She didn't write that. He's being a dick, yeah. And Abed like turns to he freezes over in the solid block.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's frozen. But all of his friends are there, even if some of them died.
And they all burst in like the Kool-Aid Man.
They burst in like the Kool-Aid Man, and they all have like Christmas weapons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like candy cane bazookas and shit like that.
Yeah, gingerbread like 6-shooters and yeah. Presumably they're all in the real world. They're all holding snowballs,
probably,
or like the
chunks of ice,
party popper things, or whatever. And they decide to sing Duncan away. I guess that's the John Oliver's character's away.
Everyone breaks.
And they're like, "You start, Britta," and she's like, and they do indeed sing.
Yeah, they sing and they open fire on, I guess Duncan is his name. They open fire on Duncan Oliver.
And then Abed slowly starts melting while the singing is happening.
Also, Shirley and Annie's actresses are the only ones that can sing. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with none of them knowing how to sing, but the fact that some of them can sing was cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. That actually seems kind of realistic to me, though, because if you get like a group of like half a dozen or so people, there'll probably be one.
There'll probably be one
two
that was in choir
who can actually sing, and like the rest of them will be horrible. I'm one of the horrible ones in any group. Yeah.
I'm aware that there's tone. I just can't make the right sounds.
I got you. You can't match pitch.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I'm aware of it. But maybe that's because I can never breathe properly.
I can death growl. That's about it.
There you go.
I played Christina an old karaoke video of me doing that earlier.
Yeah. At least you didn't get swept away by the Christmas pterodactyl.
No, which is what happens to Duncan.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then Annie like self-destructs the pterodactyl, and Duncan in the distance is like, "Oh, is that really necessary?" and he explodes.
And then Abed's over here. It's like Christmas can mean whatever we want it to be.
It used to mean spending Christmas time with my mom, but now it means spending time with you guys.
And everyone gets together for a big group hug.
Yeah.
And now they
go back into the real world, but still the claymation real world. They're in the study hall.
And Abed comments, he's like, "Well, I guess we don't need stop motion anymore." And Britta's like, why don't we just stick it out for the rest of the episode?
The rest of the day.
The rest of the day.
Because he's the one that knows that they're in an episode sometimes, but she says, "Oh, the rest of the day, why not?" Oh, I forgot. Okay, so the principal... The dean, sorry. The dean. The principal. He's very... Oh, remember, this is a festive and or holiday and or wintry kind of time, and even though that we're not celebrating any one thing in particular, everybody is still free to celebrate in like closed safe spaces
and close for their constitutional rights to celebrate.
It shows Christmas theme like with caution tape around it. It's a little tiny corner in the cafeteria, and then there's a space for like Hanukkah like in like the corner, and it just literally has the menorah candle and nothing else. And at the end, it shows them ripping the tape and grabbing the Christmas tree. And
it's a recurring joke in Community that the dean like goes out of his way to be like inoffensive and it as like absurdly inclusive as possible,
and then ends up
actually being offensive, and exclusionary. In the process.
Kind of ahead of its time because he tries to be so inclusive and like cautious and sensitive that he ends up being accidentally hyper offensive. Like you couldn't have the same show on the air now,
right?
But it came out right around the time it needed to, and to go back and watch it now, it's kind of really funny because it's like you can see that in motion.
It's like going on Twitter nowadays.
Yeah. And even at the end, who is it? It's the dean, and who is he drinking with?
Duncan.
And Duncan's like, "Oh, like Christmas is about blah blah blah," and the dean's like, you know what? Like, fuck it, Merry Christmas. There, I said it.
Compliments for everybody.
And so that's the end of the episode, but we get a little
snippet at the end.
We get a little epilogue over the credits, which this show did quite a bit. So it's Troy and Abed
eating sandwiches.
Eating sandwiches while the credits play.
And the joke is, he's like, wait a second. Is this your dream? Like, or is this mine?
Oh no, we're stop motion again. And Troy's like, oh, it's cool, man. I did this. Look at this sandwich. And
he's like, I always liked the way food looked in stop motion. And Abed's like, right, like the perfect bite marks out of food. And he's like, right? He's like, but if you're the one, if this is your stop motion, how come I can see it? He's like, I don't know. And then they switch heads.
Yeah.
If anyone is unfamiliar, that got started because a recurring joke that they were doing for quite a while in the show was they had their own morning news program
that wasn't being filmed.
That wasn't being filmed. So it was just them like
pretending.
It was just them with like coffee cups on like bar stools with like a table between them with
once a week during the
with them like doing like a fake like morning news program. And people were like, there's no cameras. What are you doing? And so like
they have a lot of escapism, those two.
Yeah.
They're best friends.
And so the name of and what they called this morning news program was Troy and Abed in the morning.
Nice.
It works.
And so them going,
they end up
Troy
getting
and
like
Abed,
an audience.
Blah, blah, blah.
Like people end up like going and like watching them and hanging out in the background as they like close the doors to the study hall. It's weird. It's the show realizes it's almost like Dan Harmon like realizes when he found out what he wanted for the show was for the show to be wacky enough that all the characters accept its wackiness too, but are fine with it, and that's when the show hits its stride.
Totally. Because I believe I mentioned this off air, but the show did kind of have a rocky start where it you could tell they didn't know exactly what they wanted it to be, and like it kind of starts off as like a typical like drama semi-serious dramedy like type tale, like a big plot point like early on is the will they or won't they between Jeff and Britta,
which I was like, oh.
And with it, like it only took them like a handful of episodes before the show actually started finding its footing, and like by season 2 the show just gets like wacky and we start doing episodes like this.
We
and,
start
like, Troy
doing
and
episodes
Abed in the morning.
There's the recurring once a season paintball episode with what was it? It's just like, oh, you get all A's this semester. If you, no school would ever do that.
No.
The thousands upon thousands of dollars of damage to the school that would happen if you just let people like free for all have a paintball contest in the school would never happen ever. But those are also the best ones. Recurring theme of Troy and Abed starting like school-wide pillow forts.
I can get down with that.
And they start debating on like what constitutes pillows. Can you use blankets? Yes. Can you use seat cushions? Yes. Can you use chairs to prop up the blankets? Yes, but you can't use the chairs for structural integrity of a greater. Yeah. And they end up getting the whole school. One of them has like, I think it's like Troy and Abed start bickering, and they split into different factions.
Yeah. They end up on opposing teams in one of the
and they end up taking
episodes.
Territory across the school from each other and like raiding each other to take different wings of the school.
This sounds like a story out of Recess.
It does. The animated show,
which could be another thing we cover.
My brother really liked Recess. I was more of a Hey Arnold kind of guy.
Yes.
I remember Hey Arnold.
Yeah.
I wasn't super into those kind of cartoons. Like for me at that, like
I liked Doug.
Yes.
Those shows were on in like 97 or so. So I would have been like 12. And at that time, like I was into stuff like Beast Wars and like superhero shows.
The cool shows.
Like stuff with robots or like mutants or like characters with superpowers.
Certain shows followed us in like Reboot aged up, right when we needed it to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, totally. Because like season 3, when the show actually started getting darker and more serious, debuted when I was 12.
And going and watching the like we have Alphanumeric, a
Mhm.
reboot podcast, the foremost
The
reboot
foremost
podcast.
reboot podcast.
and we had talked about this before, but when it gets darker too, Matrix, Enzo becomes Matrix.
Uh-huh.
Spoilers for 1994 reboot, Mainframe Entertainment. But watching it now with all y'all, it's like, oh, it's kind of cringe, but we roll with it and we like it. But Kid Me, holy hell yes.
Yeah,
fucking vest, 5 o'clock shadow. He uses a fucking gun. He's got like a metal eye with like powers, and
He's got muscles.
he's got a
hot
biker babe. He's got a hot babe in one arm and a gun in the other.
He still has his dog.
Yeah, they did change Frisket because he already had a studded spiked.
Yeah. Frisket is timeless.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they didn't make like Frisket like more jacked. Like
Mhm.
he's got
somehow bigger.
Yeah.
He's got a
more
scar
jacked.
across
He's
his
got a scar
face.
across his face. Like some of his fur is like scorched off,
Mhm.
or like
Oh, from the like the Evil Dead game.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Malicious Corpses.
What is it called?
Malicious Corpses.
Malicious.
I
Corpses.
always call it Evil Doom. Because it's Evil Dead, and when we see the first-person view of the Ash character,
Mhm.
the user in that episode,
It's got an interface. Like,
the interface looks exactly like
there's
Doom.
ammo boxes hanging on the ground, and yeah, it's-
Mhm.
Yeah. So I affectionately refer to that game as Evil Doom.
It fits.
yeah. But
Well,
yeah,
that was Community.
that's Community.
That was our second installment of the Christmas month on
Mhm.
the LaserComb podcast. Next week, as quite often, put up a Twitter poll, much like with this episode. I put up a Twitter poll for what to review on next week's episode of the LaserComb podcast. The theme of that was live action half-hour sitcoms, and what the choices were: MASH, Married with Children, Corner Gas, which is a Canadian TV show, and Spin City. I for a brief moment I was like, man, Letterkenny, but I'm like, shit, Letterkenny's still going.
Still,
And one of the rules
I
of this
like
podcast is I love Letterkenny. We got to get you watching that.
Yes, you do.
It is on Hulu in the US.
Okay.
But yeah, so what ended up winning? It looked like it was going to be Corner Gas for a while, which I was like,
I have something to admit. I voted for Corner Gas.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Well, Married, which it looked like Corner Gas was going to win, and then Married with Children kind of came out from behind and won it. So yeah, next week we'll be reviewing a Christmas episode of Married with Children. Now, I didn't realize this when I chose Married with Children, but there are actually, I think, like half a dozen Christmas episodes.
Oh, it's a long. Like, how many seasons of Married?
A
with
lot.
Something
Children?
like 13. So I own the entire series on iTunes because it was on sale, and it's like 12 or 13 seasons because it was on sale for $30. And each season is like 25 episodes.
Yeah, I was
so
gonna say.
So I'm like, this is a lot of fucking Married with Children. I'm like, for $30, like this will literally take me years to get through because I only watch it
And-
occasionally.
You have it because your iTunes.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah.
unless they lose licensing for something.
I've had that happen with the Microsoft Xbox Video Store, and I've had that happen with the PlayStation Video Store. I've never had it happen with iTunes. iTunes is good about
Apple says that buying staying power. It's got that big Gates energy.
that. That big Jobs energy.
The big Jobs energy. Sorry.
Mhm.
Wow. I just accidentally mixed up Microsoft and Apple.
Good job.
Who was the other Steve from Apple? Steve Wozniak? Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak?
Yeah, the Steves.
There was a joke in Silicon Valley, which is over, so we should cover that on this show at some point.
I've never seen any of it.
Silicon Valley's great. I still need to watch the last season of it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a joke where a character played by T.J. Miller asks like the main character of the show. He's like, or the main character of the show is like, he's like, TJ Miller is like, he's like, man, like I feel like such a visionary. I feel like Steve from Apple. And the other guy is like, Jobs or Wozniak, and he just looks at him, and he's like, Jobs.
Come now.
So I think the way I'm going to bust out the random the random number generator.
Oh.
Fancy.
And I'm going to bust out the random number generator, and I'm going to look at how many Christmas themed episodes Married with Children actually has, and then random number generate that.
Okay.
So doing some science here.
We're doing the science.
All the science.
Screen share. The screen share thing is much easier when you have two monitors to work with, which is what I usually do. But right now, my computer is hooked up to my TV because we're in my living room.
Yep.
So it's
what are you gonna do, baby?
It's fun.
What you gonna do when Hulkamania runs wild on you? All right. So
that Christmas episodes
website. Wiki.
Oh, that is a beautiful source.
Christmas specials wiki.
Boom.
Did I bookmark it?
Well, there, that one's clicked. That one's purple.
Yeah, that top one.
That top?
List of Christmas television.
Yes.
Okay.
We'll see.
Episodes? No.
Go back.
Go back. We have to go back.
Back.
Specials.
The classics?
No, the classic. Yeah, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
Oh. You know what? There was a different list.
I know there's a different
there
list.
There it is. List of Christmas television. It's purple, which means it's a clicked link.
There you go.
Yeah. Maybe this is it.
This
is it.
All right, here we go. So, married.
Next.
Next. Married.
There you go.
Married with Children.
One.
All right.
There's 6.
So there are 6. All right, so let's go to numbergenerator.org. Or that's it, right?
Yeah, sure.
Numbergenerator.org. We really need to get a sponsorship from them.
1 to 6.
So 1 to 6. Here we go.
Woo.
Hitting start. 2. All right. So I'm assuming this list is in broadcast order. So 2 would be It's a Bundyful Life.
All right.
It's an hour length.
Wow, we landed on an hour-long episode.
And aired in the show's 4th season. It's a parody of It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah, by the name, that doesn't really surprise me. So that is a hour-long special that aired in the like you said, in the 4th season. Okay, hopefully that is part of the
Can you imagine if it's not?
the complete series that I just mentioned that I bought. And if it's not, well, we'll make things happen.
You'll make it work.
Because that's what we do here. We make things work. All right, back to Zoom. Turn off the. This is very difficult with one monitor. Oh, right, meeting controls. There we go. Yes.
Yeah.
Sure.
Oh, it's at the top of the screen.
Oh, there we go.
I'm undoubtedly sounding like I have no idea what I'm doing to listeners.
And it's true.
Oh
no, you've stopped the video.
Stop the video. Damn it.
And we're starting it again. Hello, we're back.
Christopher knows technology.
Normally I do. I'm just like completely like my setup has
Go over
switched.
there. Go over to the video on the right.
There we go.
There we go.
Yay.
I did it. No, it's because my setup is different. I'm like completely like thrown off.
Yeah.
So we'll be back next week with that for episode 16 of the LaserComb podcast. If you want to sponsor an episode of this show, go to patreon.com/LAZORComb, LAZORCOMB. $10 tier, you get all of the $5 tier rewards, which is like bonus preamble audio where we kind of talk about whatever before we actually start recording the show proper. And you also get a monthly commentary track where we talk over a movie. And at the $10 tier, you get our weekly news and current events program, LaserComb Tonight. There's not going to be one this week because, well, Christina is in town from Georgia, and
it's Christmas time.
And it's
Christmas time, and I would rather spend as much time as possible with her as opposed to
she's not from this country.
I am not. I'm an international host.
I would rather spend as much time with her as I can than sitting in front of a computer editing podcasts. So, but also at the $10 tier, you can pick a show for us to review a random episode of on this podcast.
Are there rules?
There are rules. It has to be narrative based, so no game shows, no reality shows, no competition shows, no cooking shows. Nothing of the sort. Nothing of that sort.
No pro wrestling.
No pro wrestling. No, none of that.
No Survivor.
Nope. No Bachelorette.
Yeah, I had to set the ground rules because someone actually did recommend The Real World to me, and I'm like, no.
I don't even know what that is, but it sounds bad.
It's like the original reality show.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah.
Also means No Price is Right. Much to Cal's chagrin. I know.
We're all making sacrifices here.
But is Bob Barker's different than Drew's?
Oh,
I would consider it a different series. Yeah,
which means
but
that
the
the
format is different. But it doesn't fit the. So it has to be narrative based, and the show has to be over. So
it can be anime.
It can be anime.
Yeah,
that's happened.
Fighting food on.
So as I mentioned a few minutes ago, I briefly thought of doing Letterkenny for this show, but I'm like, oh wait, it's still airing. So not yet.
No problem.
Social media. Go to. Oh yes. Anyway, so if you want to do any of that, go to patreon.com/LaserComb and social media, facebook.com/LaserComb. Once again, LAZORCOMB. It's kind of the social media central hub for this and all the other shows we do. And Twitter, you can follow me at LaserComb, spelled the way I just spelled it, twice. Not doing it a third time.
No.
Christina, you were on Twitter, yes?
Yeah, LadyGlitch 619.
And Cal.
NeoCal, Neo_KAL.
If you go check us out on Twitter, I actually tweeted a photo of like all of us in a group shot together for the first time ever.
Yeah.
Only two of us are making funny faces or blinking. That's good. That's a good percentage of people that have a nice photo of them.
Mm-hmm.
I was like taking off my mask and making a funny face. What are you gonna do?
Well, the photo that I tweeted turned out pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
For it being a nighttime photo on exposure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little blurry, but
just a wee bit.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
We were
improvising.
What you gonna do, brother? I think that about does it. We're gonna get out of here. I've been one of your hosts, Christopher Siege.
Oh, me. And I'm NeoCal.
And I'm LadyGlitch.
And until next time, thanks for listening, and we will catch you on the flip side. Merry Christmas.
And we're sorry.
Bye-bye.
Bye.